Good morning, ma'am. I'm John Nirmal, ma'am. I'm presenting the case today.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am. I'll share my screen.
yes.
Patient details. Mrs. Salamelo, 25-year-old female. Occupation is tailor. She has studied till 12th standard, hailing from Tenamper, Chennai. Her husband's name is Mr. Ram, who is 27 years old and working as a security guard, belonging to the upper lower class of socioeconomic status according to modified Kuppuswamy scale with the obstetric score of G4A3. Her last menstrual period was 6/4/2021 and her expected date of delivery is 13th January 2022. She has been booked for pregnancy. She came with a history of 12 weeks of amenorrhea, history of presenting illness. The patient who has a history of 12 weeks of amenorrhea has come to IOG in view of
The patient?
previous 3 pregnancy losses.
The patient, what is the presenting complaint?
Ma'am, she doesn't have any presenting complaint. She came to the OP because she had previous 3 pregnancy losses, ma'am.
3 pregnancy loss. Okay. So, what do you mean by pregnancy loss? So,
Ma'am,
class is recurrent miscarriage. When do you call it as recurrent miscarriage?
when there are 3 or more
3 or more
consecutive
of pregnancy losses, consecutive pregnancy losses.
loss.
When there are 3 or more, you call it as recurrent pregnancy loss. Okay. So that can be either primary or secondary. So your patient is primary or secondary. Primary, when there has been no live birth at all. Okay. So secondary, when she has a live child and it is followed by 3 consecutive pregnancy loss, then you categorize them as secondary. So which is better, primary or secondary? So the prognosis is somewhat better with the secondary loss when she has had a live child already, followed by recurrent pregnancy loss. When you give treatment or if she conceives, the success rate is better in the secondary recurrent pregnancy loss than in the primary case. Okay. So our patient is having primary pregnancy, recurrent pregnancy, Gravida 4, abortion 3. Okay. So that's why we have to investigate this patient and find out what the problem is from the history. More than the investigation, history in recurrent pregnancy loss is very, very important.
Yes, ma'am.
So pregnancy loss in which trimester, the prognosis depends on it. So as the number of previous pregnancy loss increases or the increases, recurrence of the pregnancy loss increases with advancing gestation, with advancing number of recurrent pregnancy loss. Suppose there is only no pregnancy loss, the risk is just what is the percentage of risk in the patient becomes pregnant. So if you include both clinical as well as chemical pregnancy, that is when the beta HCG becomes positive, particularly in neonatal treatment and usually what they say is there won't be any visible sac at all. When there is a visible sac documented in a scan like that, then you call it as clinical pregnancy. Okay. So instead of nausea, vomiting, and other but only beta HCG is positive and there is no visible pregnancy. That is the sac in scan, then you call it as chemical pregnancy. Okay. So when there is a clinical pregnancy, for chemical pregnancy, the risk is very high. That is about 25%. Usually, we used to say when the patient, the attendant comes for consultation, how safe is my baby in the first trimester? We cannot guarantee because 20% of pregnancies, particularly chemical pregnancies, may end up in abortion. Suppose it becomes a clinical pregnancy, then you have a definite effect on the presence of fat, then the risk decreases. Okay. So, ரொம்ப earlier இருந்ததுன்னா the risk is more, 25%. As the gestation age advances, the risk decreases. Okay, it becomes 5% like that. Suppose there is recurrent abortion. Okay, suppose there is more than one abortion. So, one abortion, already there is one abortion. Then now the risk of miscarriage for this present pregnancy will be around 20%. அதே மாதிரி மூணு போனோம்னா risk may be as high as 35 to 40%. So that's why we are investigating. Okay. So as the number of abortions increases, the risk of miscarriage in the future or the present pregnancy is also very high. So that's why the good clinical obstetric score is very important. And the score like already more abortion this patient is having. So in this patient, there is a more risk of recurrent this pregnancy also going in for miscarriage. So we need to intervene early. We need to support the pregnancy and find out the cause. If any identifiable, you have to correct. So on the Dravida code, abortion 3, you can guess that. Okay, her risk is very high. So we need to definitely intervene for this pregnant patient. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Menstrual history. She has attained menarche
So what is
at
the
12
age
years
of the patient? Sorry, 1 minute, doctor. What is the age of the patient?
She's 25 years old, ma'am.
35 years old. Okay. So age also there is just 25 or 35. You have written 25.
25, ma'am.
25. Okay. Suppose the age increases. So if it is more than 35 years, definitely the risk of recurrence of the miscarriage is very high. Okay. So that is all very important. So ஒரு live baby இருந்தா this decrease to 5%. So age பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 20 to 24 இருந்தா the risk will be around very minimum. The incidence of abortion will be 10. Whereas இது more than 35 or 45 years போகும்போது nearly 50 to 75%. It is a wide range because clinical data are not that much available. So age increase ஆகாத the risk of abortion also increases. So ideally, the less miscarriage rate in women of pregnancy between 20 to 24 will be minimal. Okay. So that is one of the risk factors. Age is a risk factor. The occupation, whether the patient is doing any heavy mechanical works. Okay. So that also, though they say it is not that much, there is some association or relative risk of the thing is also increased. So you told her LMP is 8.4, no? So you calculated 6.4. So you have calculated the EDD. So is that LMP reliable?
Yes, ma'am.
John?
Yes, ma'am.
Why do you say it is reliable? How do you say it? Or how do we classify the LMP or the EDD, whether it is reliable or not reliable? Suppose the patient is, anyone else can answer it? I think I have talked about it in previous class also. Reliability of the LMP. Kausalya. So we say the LMP is okay, reliable or unreliable, excellent date, good dates. You have heard of the terminology?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. I have doubt whether I am audible at all or not. How many of you are in this thing? There are nearly 50 people, no? No one is responding. At least you can say yes or no, or I don't know. Then we can continue. I will elaborate and continue. Okay. So the patient is sure of her dates. She knows her LMP and the previous 3 cycles. This you will all be telling, no? The same thing only. The previous 3 cycles have been very regular and of normal flow and duration. Then we call it as and the early scan, early trial scan, if it is done and it is corresponding, then we call it as a reliable data. Okay. So always when you present an LMP and EEG for a pregnant patient, always the reliability is also to be mentioned there. So I have
Okay,
said
ma'am.
booked. What do you mean by booked? She is only 12 weeks, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah,
Ma'am, it is the first antenatal visit. We have to register the patient for antenatal care, ma'am.
yes, sir. Then you got it that the patient is registered. So number of bookings also matter. To qualify the patient as booked, immunized, அதெல்லாம் சொல்லும்போது booked னா வந்து she should satisfy all the criteria. Investigation should have been done. Referral இருக்கணும். Number of visit, ideal number of booking. What is the ideal number of booking? Ideal number of visits for booking.
Ma'am, she should have uh, antenatal visits of once in 4 weeks for up to 28 weeks, and then from 28 to
Once in
36 weeks.
4 weeks, after 28 weeks. Okay. Suppose she comes at 2 months, amenorrhea, second month, third month, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. That will be 6 visits. And then between 28 to 36 weeks, it is
Once in 2 weeks, ma'am.
okay. That comes to around 12. And then weekly. So that will
And
be
then
the
yeah,
ideal. Or at least the minimal visit should be, then weekly you are going to do it. But at least they should have at least 5 visits, 4 to 5 visits. One in each trimester and preferably two in the last trimester will be ideal. Okay. So this patient is too early. You can say she is a registered patient. When you say registered, they enter into the register and they give the PICMI number. Okay. So then you will call it as registered.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So always okay. Turn, doctor.
Menstrual history. She has attained menarche at 12 years of age. She has regular cycles, uh, 5/28 day cycle. She has normal flow and not associated with pain or clots.
Okay.
Marital history. She's married for 5 years. Non-consanguineous marriage. No contraceptives used.
Okay.
Present obstetric history. Spontaneous conception. The pregnancy was detected in first trimester by urine pregnancy test following 5th week of missed period. No history of excessive vomiting. No history of spotting or bleeding PV. No history of swelling of legs. No history of breathlessness. No history of burning micturition. No history of pain in abdomen. No history of exposure to radiation or teratogenic drug intake. Folic acid tablets taken. Dating scan was done at 6th week and was found to be normal. Nuchal translucency scan was done at 11th week and was found to be normal.
Okay.
History of previous
Particularly in
pregnancy.
recurrent pregnancy loss, this is more important. History of the previous pregnancy loss is very, very important. When it happened, how it happened, what is the management, and all these things, and whether the blood group of the patient. Because in abortions, when there is recurrent, there is going to be recurrent abortions like this, the need for RH is also important. Immunoglobulin. So all these history should be brought about. So particularly, usually we concentrate focus more on the present obstetric history. But in this case, recurrent pregnancy loss, the previous obstetric history is very important. Okay. So, okay, go ahead.
History of previous pregnancies. The patient has had 3 previous abortions in 2017, 2018, and 2019 at 20, 18, and 16 weeks period of gestation, respectively.
Okay. That's all the previous thing. Yeah.
No, ma'am. First
Yes.
pregnancy loss. The first pregnancy loss occurred 4 years back. She was at the gestational age of 20 weeks at the time of miscarriage. Spontaneous conception. First trimester scan showed good fetal heart activity. The pregnancy was uneventful, following which, at the 20th week, there was spontaneous rupture of membranes and sudden expulsion of the products of conception without any pain. No history of exposure to teratogenic drugs. No history of surgery for removal of placenta or bits. Placental products and fetus were sent to histopathology and no abnormalities were found. No history of preceding events such as fever, infection, trauma, drug intake, or long travel. No history of fever or blood transfusions in the post-abortal period.
Okay, she had a spontaneous miscarriage. So suddenly she had. Did she have a pain?
No, ma'am. Painless.
Say was abortion painless? Okay. So this is very typical. Okay, typical second trimester painless. The patient is aborting and crossing the product of conception. Points towards
Cervical incompetence, ma'am.
cervical incompetence. Okay, what are the other causes of miscarriages? First trimester and second trimesters.
First trimester, it is mostly due to chromosomal abnormalities, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Trimester is mostly aneuploidy, chromosomal abnormalities or structural aberrations are more common. Okay, then
And then second trimester, it can be due to cervical
in the first
incompetence.
trimester itself, other causes can be anomalies of the fetus, developmental anomalies. Okay, that can occur both in the first and the second trimester. Uterine anomalies, particularly uterine septum is there, or in the uterus there is a fibroid, particularly in submucous fibroid. Usually, sometimes intramural and subserous fibroid do not cause much problem to the pregnancy, but the submucous fibroid or any septation. So if it is encroaching the cavity, whenever the fibroids are encroaching the cavity, the sterilization over the fibroid will be minimal. So the implant is going to be there. Implantation of the embryo is going to be there over the suboptimal developed endometrium or the when sterilization. We call it as sterilization once it becomes pregnant because of progesterone. So அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கிறப்ப the implant will not be proper and it may end up in abortion. The vascularity, the baby will not be getting the placental formation and be defective over that area if it is getting implanted over the submucous fibroid. So that is an important cause. And infections, infections of the genital tract, particularly the torch infection. In our when we were all students, the torch infection was given much importance. Nowadays, it has become even for investigation, doing a torch screening is not that mandatory. In spite of, whereas now various other investigations are being focused upon. So torch infection, when you say what is torch infection?
It is toxoplasma,
Toxoplasma, rubella, cytomegalovirus. C for cytomegalovirus, H for herpes simplex. Okay. So for others, you can see like listeria, parvovirus, fifth disease, no? So all these can pass. Nowadays, just rubella, congenital rubella syndrome is only given important. But in our situation, you all know all the newborns for born recently are 100% immunized.
Ma'am, you're on mute. I'm not audible.
Hello,
Now you're audible.
audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so infections that also is given much importance. Other reasons which we have to concentrate while getting the history will be the polycystic ovarian disease syndrome. Sometimes that can cause a progesterone deficiency, thyroid disorders, particularly severe hypothyroidism, particular patient with thyroid antibodies, diabetes, which is more common in our places, other metabolic disorders, immunological disorders. These are the things which we are concentrating upon nowadays. Previously, when we say RPL, we usually did the heart screening, and that was it. Okay. So, okay, carry on, doctor. So this has been a second trimester loss, which has been painless, painless spontaneous expulsion. Yes.
Second pregnancy loss was 3 years back. It occurred at gestational age of 18 weeks at the time of miscarriage. Spontaneous conception, first trimester scan showed good fetal cardiac activity. The pregnancy was uneventful, following which at the 18th week there was a constant back pain and sudden expulsion at home. No exposure to teratogenic drugs, no history of preceding events such as fever, infection, trauma, drug intake, or long travel, no history of fever or blood transfusions in the post-abortal period. Third pregnancy loss, it occurred 2 years back at the gestational age of 16 weeks at the time of miscarriage. Spontaneous conception, first trimester scan showed good fetal cardiac activity. The pregnancy was uneventful, following which at the 16th week there was spontaneous rupture of membranes. The products had begun to expel before the patient could reach the hospital. Placental products and fetus were sent to histopathology and no abnormalities were found. No history of exposure to teratogenic drugs, no history of preceding events such as fever, infection, trauma, drug intake, or long travel. No history of fever or blood transfusions in the post-abortal period.
So you can see in all the three pregnancies, there has been a loss in the second trimester itself. So and it is first it was 20 weeks, then 18 weeks, 16. So usually they occur in the with the less gestational age, as you have rightly pointed out. And there was a good fetal heart. After the fetal heart comes, the baby will be all right, particularly in cervical incompetence. This is a typical when the patient suddenly expels. So there is only one abortion, we do not bother much. Whereas when the patient subsequently aborts, particularly spontaneous abortion is recurring, it's always better to send the product of conception for histopathological examination. So that will rule out any placental pathology or any abnormalities of the fetus. So here, this you can stress that placental products and fetus sent to histopathology. That is a very good practice. Okay, it has to be done when there is a recurrent miscarriage. So for one abortion, usually we do not send them. But when it is going to be recurrent, it should be mandatory, and that is the thing we have to pass it on. It should be mandatory sent for histopathology. So why is because suppose there is any placental pathology, we have to find out some autoimmune or other allied causes. Or when there is an anomaly, we have to detect, go on chromosomal analysis. That should be done. So a genetic opinion will be helpful. So to determine how to plan for the next pregnancy. So what all workup we should do in the pre-pregnancy period. That is very, very important. So to help us in that, this practice of sending the products of conception for histopathology is very, very important. Whether there was any problem in desensitization, whether there was problem with the trophoblast, all these can be well got by this. So whenever it is going to be recurrent miscarriage, the product should be sent for histopathological examination. Okay. Okay, carry on.
Past history, no history of swelling of legs or breathlessness, no history of gestational diabetes mellitus, preeclampsia, hypertension, diabetes mellitus, thyroid disorders, chronic kidney disease, systemic lupus erythematosus, history suggestive of Apla syndrome, no history of long-term medications in the past, no history of surgeries in the past.
Okay. So this history is very important. So history of preeclampsia, yes, the preeclampsia indirectly associated with APLA or SLE. Okay. So these patients are prone for recurrent and early onset preeclampsia, but our patient is very early, less than 20 weeks. All the three have occurred in the less than 20 weeks period. Suppose this has occurred in the 28 weeks like that, then this preeclampsia is very, very important. Then GDM, more than GDM, it is the overt uncontrolled diabetes, which is causing recurrent pregnancy loss. So over diabetes or undetected diabetes, particularly when the HbA1c had been more than 12, so 200 to 50 malala blood sugar has been there, and HbA1c more than 12, the risk of spontaneous abortion is very high. Not only that, the risk of congenital anomaly is also very high. When in over diabetes, there is a thing. So, over diabetes uncontrolled அப்படின்னாக்கா what sometimes even when the patient becomes pregnant, previously in our student days we are told we have to give them option for abortion. Nowadays, with the identification early and control, you can go for the NT scan and anomaly scan and fetal echo before deciding upon termination. Now that the legal age for termination has been pushed to 24, we are able to leave these patients for the natural course for a more time before we decide upon termination of pregnancy. So the over diabetes not under control, particularly HbA1c more than 12, and recurrent preeclampsia, early onset preeclampsia, yes, that is very, very important. Thyroid disorder. Okay. So thyroid, particularly these sort of patients, when they have thyroid peroxidase antibodies like that, those patients are very prone for abortions. So thyroid, it is so common. Particularly, that doesn't mean that all hypothyroid end up in abortion. No. What we are having is all subclinical hypothyroidism. Namakita nariya patients are if you see around 75% of the patients are having this thyroid problem, and they are taking some medicine. So we need not always um, tell them that they may end up in abortions. So where it is important is when there has been a hypothyroidism like that. So Graves' disease or some other autoimmune thyroiditis. Those patients are very prone for developing abortions. So that is very important. So APLA, long-term medication. Medications, okay. Sometimes the patient unknowingly may be taking some teratogenic drugs. But even some deficiencies, like simple folic acid deficiency, can cause this recurrent abortions. So that is very important. History of surgeries. What surgeries do you relate with this RPL?
Ma'am, any surgeries in the cervix, ma'am?
Cervix. So uterine surgeries. So surgery done for the biconjoint or a septoplasty done, cervical lesions, as you rightly said. So sometimes there can be amputation of the cervix. So a
Yes,
patient
ma'am.
might have had one live pregnancy, and for the later on she would have developed an intravaginal for elongation of the cervix. If they are going to do a surgery on the cervix, or when there is a via positive area, so pre-malignant condition of the cervix, when you do a visual inspection with acetic acid, you get a lot of suspicious area, multiple focal suspicious area. You do a conization, some procedure called conization, where you remove a part of the cervix, okay, including the transformation zone. So அந்த மாதிரி பண்ணும்போது you should always not go beyond the internal loss. But accidentally, sometimes when you go like so, you can just go near the internal loss. So அந்த இடத்துல போகும்போது the sphincters at the internal loss. Sometimes if you have observed, the external loss sometimes may be patulous for it, even in the non-pregnant individuals. But the internal loss is supposed to be very tightly closed. So in the internal hospital, நம்ம surgery பண்ண போகும்போது it loses the sphincter. It loses its sphincteric action. Okay. So it can lead to recurrent abortions, particularly cervical incompetence. That is very common in patients who had undergone Colles procedure. There is amputation of the cervix. So when you do amputations of cervix, you always take care that you leave behind 2.5 centimeter of the cervix. Functional cervix should be left behind while doing all these conservative management for prolapse. So in my procedures, you should be very careful. Okay. So,
Yes, ma'am.
so surgeries on the cervix, uterine anomalies also. So there can be a uterine anomaly with no evident cervical anomaly, but there can be in the musculature. uterus musculature defect இருக்கும்போது the cervical musculature can be innately be defective. Okay, even if you don't do any surgery on the cervix, it may be functionally weak in an anomalous uterus. That also you should understand. நம்ம uterusல தான் பார்க்கணும் cervical incompetence வருதுன்னா it can still occur. So all these are very common. Okay, then
Family history. No history of diabetes, hypertension, tuberculosis, or congenital anomalies in the family.
uterine
Personal
anomalies
history.
in the family can give this history. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Personal history. The patient consumes mixed diet. She has normal bowel and bladder habits. No history of smoking, drug abuse, or alcohol consumption.
Okay.
General examination. The
So
patient
alcohol
is conscious.
consumption also increases the risk of okay. Yes, carry on.
Yes, ma'am. General examination. The patient is conscious, cooperative, well-oriented to time, place, and person. She is moderately built and nourished. Her height is 160 centimeters and her weight before pregnancy was 59 kilograms. Her current weight is 60 kilograms, which indicates normal weight gain. Her BMI is 23.
So normal weight gain that in the first trimester usually we do not commit upon the weight gain. Even in the first trimester, the 1 to 2 kg weight loss also is considered to be normal. It is a wide range. Only when it comes beyond to the second trimester, this actual weight gain, serial weight gain of 0.5 kg per week becomes applicable. So first trimesterல வந்து நம்ம usually weight gain பத்தி நம்ம இது பண்ண மாட்டோம். We do not focus much on the weight gain in the first trimester. Okay. Suppose
Okay.
that is also important. More than 5 kg weight loss இருக்கு அப்படின்னாக்க it indicates hyperemesis gravidorum and risk of future IUGR in the baby.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is there. But first trimester we do not give much focus to the weight gain. Okay. But having said that is a good practice only. Okay. The BMI is very important for the first trimester. So the BMI, if it is going to be less than 60 or if it is going to be more than 35, again the risk of abortion increases.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
No pallor, no icterus, no cyanosis, no clubbing, no pedal edema, and no generalized lymphadenopathy.
Okay.
Vitals. Her blood pressure was 120/80 millimeters mercury in the right upper limb in sitting posture. Her pulse rate was 80 per minute and her respiratory rate was 13 per minute. Her temperature was 98.4 degree Fahrenheit. Systemic and local examinations. CVS examination. S1 and S2 were here and there were no murmurs. Respiratory system examination. Normal vesicular breath sounds were here and there were no added sounds. CNS examination. No focal neurological deficits. Examination of breast, thyroid, and spine were normal. Obstetric examination. The patient is reassured and after emptying her bladder is made to lie in the supine position and examination is conducted. On inspection, a small bulge is seen in the suprapubic region corresponding to 12 weeks of gestation. No
12
scars
weeks
or
we
dilated.
say that the uterine size will be at the level of the pelvic brim. Pubic bone கிட்ட அந்த இடத்துல இருக்கும். But for inspection, you may not be able to visualize it. Seen as a small bulge வந்து particularly BMI 23 இருக்கும்போது it may not be seen. She is an average patient. So unless 14 weeks size enlarge ஆனா தவிர inspection it may not be evident.
Yes, ma'am.
Palpation, whether the uterus is just palpable over the pubic bone. That's all you can do. It you can make in this patient. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. No scars or dilated veins were seen. On palpation, the fundal height corresponds to 12 weeks of gestation.
Usually we don't say uterus fundus is just palpable. அவ்வளவுதான் நான் சொல்லுவோம். Okay. Okay. Now what you want to do for this patient? Okay.
Summary. Mrs. Alamelu, a 25-year-old female with obstetric code G4A3, at 12 weeks with single gestation is booked, belonging to the lower socioeconomic status, came with 12 weeks of amenorrhea with a past history of 3 second trimester pregnancy losses and no prior history of any surgeries. Her vitals were normal, and on obstetric examination, a uterus corresponding to 12 weeks of gestation was found.
Okay. Okay, now what investigations you want to do for this patient?
Ma'am, routine investigations, we have to do a complete hemogram. We have to do prothrombin time and partial thromboplastin time.
Okay,
Blood
why is
glucose
that done?
levels.
Prothrombin, partial thromboplastin time.
Ma'am, any bleeding disorders, ma'am? Can lead
Bleeding,
to
thrombophilia,
abortion.
more than PT, APTT, it will be the thrombophilia which is causing this problem. So factor 5 Leiden mutation, அப்புறம் அந்த protein CS deficiencies, all these can contribute to things. So basically ஒரு coagulation, PT, APTT பார்த்துட்டு if it is prolonged, then we go for it. Okay. So or it is recurrent, first trimester miscarriage, we go for the thrombophilia screening. Okay. Okay, very good. And blood glucose. Blood glucose when the fasting and postprandial you are told, but more thing for our population will be the OGCT rather than the GTT and fasting and postprandial. So OGCT, how do you do?
Ma'am, we have to
Oral
give her.
glucose challenge test.
We have to give her 50 milligrams of
75 grams of
75 grams
75
of
grams of
anhydrous
glucose mixed with GGT. You give, for the non-pregnant you give 100. For the pregnant woman, they cannot tolerate that much amount of sugar. சும்மாவே வாந்தி வரும் first trimesterல. Pregnant women are more prone for gastritis also. So we give 75 grams of glucose mixed in 300 ml of water, or large glass of water. You can add a tinge of lemon or something and then give it to them. And it should be taken within 10 minutes, irrespective of the PET state. வீட்டில் சாப்பிட்டு வந்தா கூட, so you can definitely do this test. And you have to take blood sugar after
3 hours.
Sugar after 2 hours. Okay.
2 hours.
So OGCT கேட்டா தப்பா சொன்னீங்கன்னா அவ்வளவுதான் fail தான். There is no thing. You have to again appear for the exam. So OGCT is 75 grams of glucose mixed in 300 ml of water taken within 10 minutes period. And blood sugar should be taken after 2 hours. 2 hours கழிச்சு நம்ம எடுக்கணும். And this cutoff should be not more than 140. This cutoff is variable. Okay. So நீங்க 140 நம்ம ஸ்டாண்டர்டா நம்ம கவர்மெண்ட் is giving this standard as 140. Okay. If the patient is high risk, previous ஒரு term IUD அது மாதிரிலாம் ஆயிருந்ததுன்னா definitely you can reduce the cutoff to 130. So this test becomes more sensitive. So அதுக்கு அடுத்தது next step you have to go for it. So this OGCT is very, very important. As you have rightly told, blood sugar fasting postprandial the random blood sugar is of no use in pregnancy. You all know pregnant woman la enna agudhu, fasting state la vandu enna irukum, there will be hyperglycemia, there will be very fast absorption, there is stasis of the what is it, stasis of the food in the stomach. Restaurant effect naala that motility is less. So stomach la நிறைய glucose absorb ஆகும். So immediate வந்து when in the fed state the sugar will increase to a high. Whereas fed state la hyperglycemia varo. And then once the time as the time goes on, the sugar decreases very drastically, very fast. So when we go to hypoglycemia, that's why the pregnant woman we always advise them to take frequent small meals instead of 3 full meals. பிச்சு சாப்பிட சொல்றாங்க into 6 components. So that is the background of this. So over diabetes or uncontrolled diabetes can lead to pregnancy loss. So this test is become very important. It's very important. OGCT in pregnancy is very important even in this context. Recurrent pregnancy loss. So that is very important. And then you mentioned VDRL. Why is that important?
Ma'am, syphilis can lead to recurrent pregnancy loss, ma'am.
Okay, 6
We have to rule
but
out.
what will be the course of the pregnancy loss in
Ma'am,
syphilis?
but the gestational age increases with each pregnancy, ma'am,
Yes,
in
the
syphilis.
prognosis as you rightly pointed out, the risk of the pregnancy loss increases with is better, is decreased with the increasing number of pregnancy. So VDRL positive nowadays we are not having because we are universally screening all the pregnant mothers. If they are hormone positive, we are giving them penicillin prophylaxis. Okay. So, and it has become very rare nowadays for patients to be VDRL positive because a lot of them are giving are getting treatment in the mild degree of suspicion. So, VDRL அதில் வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒரு 5 months pregnancy loss next pregnancy will be 7, then there will be 9, and then late pregnancy loss, and later on she can even have a live birth. So VDRL positive RPL இருந்ததுன்னா okay, encourage the patient to become pregnant frequently அப்படின்னு there was a say. Okay, but nowadays it is not that much. Okay, then what else you do?
HIV
This
ELISA
particular
and
patient,
HPSH.
hemogram thrombophilia சொல்லிட்டீங்க. Okay, glucose சொல்லிட்டீங்க. Then a simple
Ma'am, HIV.
ultrasound to rule out anomalies, uterine
Yes, ma'am.
anomalies, அப்புறம் இந்த பிளசண்டா எங்க இருக்கு, இன்டர்னல் ஆஸோட டயமீட்டர் என்ன, length of the cervix particularly is very important. So, our presence of a fibroid, all these can be picked up by the ultrasound. So, then what else you can do?
We have to do
So this
antiphospholipid
particular number
antibodies.
patient ultrasound is very important. What do you expect in this patient? Ultrasound பண்ணும்போது what do you expect?
Ma'am, there will be a suprapubic bulging, ma'am. So, and there will be funneling.
Suprapubic bulge இல்லப்பா. Cervix இருக்குல்ல? Cervical length,
Yes, ma'am.
just now I was telling. When the
Length will
cervical
be
length,
decreased.
when you measure, in this, particularly in the second trimester, anomaly scanல நம்ம cervical length measure பண்றோம்ல, அந்த டைம்ல
Yes, ma'am.
வந்து the cervix is less than 2.5
2.5
centimeter.
centimeters.
2.4 or 2.5, ரொம்ப கிரிட்டிக்கலானா 2.4, 24 millimeters சொல்லுவாங்க. So if it is less than that, then it signifies that there is cervical incompetence. Or you can look at the anatomy also. The internal os diameter, internal os should be closed, tubular cervix, cervical os, internal os. Whereas if it is open like this, if the length, if the interdistance diameter between the internal os is more than 1.5 centimeter, then you have to think of incompetence. Not only that, as you are telling, no, it's not the suprapubic bulge, it is the bulging of the membrane through the incompetent os. That can always be seen. So, cervix under, it can be in the V pattern, Y pattern, or a U pattern. Cervix musculature defect U, V, or Y. Y na very early. That is definitely the cervical length. So கொஞ்சம் closed cervix இருக்கு, இதுல prognosis will be better. Whereas V na, it goes up to the external os. Internal os வந்து நல்ல wide open இருக்கு. It is more than 1.5 centimeter. Internal os is wide open and external os is closed. We call it as V. இல்ல யூனிஃபார்மாவே எல்லாமே ஃபுல்லாவே இப்படி இதா இருக்கு, only the external os level it is closed. We call it as U pattern. So U pattern, V pattern எல்லாம் ரொம்ப poor prognosis. We need to intervene these patients. So that is very important thing. Whereas இதே patient, if she had come in the interpregnancy interval, what test you can do for this patient?
Ma'am, we can do a hystero cervicography, ma'am.
Okay. So interpregnancy interval, during pregnancy you cannot do all these things. So interpregnancy just a simple thing is Higa's dilator இருக்குல்ல, you have seen a Higa's dilator. Higa's dilator is nothing but a dilator which we used to dilate the cervix during abortions. So adula number 8, that is somewhat thin Higa's dilator. If you are able to pass beyond the internal os in a non-pregnant individual, beyond the internal os, then you call it as cervical incompetence. Or a Foley catheter, normal Foley catheter, without difficulty, if you are able to pass beyond the internal os, again it is diagnostic of it. Or as you rightly said, HSG பண்ணும்போது அந்த ஆஸ்ல வந்து ஃபனலிங் இருக்கு அப்படின்னா ஃபனல் மாதிரி இருக்கும். ஸோ இன்டர்னல் வால்ஸ் வில் பி ஓப்பன், எக்ஸ்டர்னல் வால்ஸ் வில் பி parallel like this. Funnel மாதிரி இருக்கும். So this funneling in HSG is very diagnostic of incompetent host. Okay. So what are the tests you can do? Forget this patient, other patients. Pre-pregnancy loss. Suppose it has been in the first trimester. You will concentrate more on first trimester pregnancy loss. Yes, sir. Very good. Karyotyping of the patient is very important. Okay. So karyotyping பண்ணலாம். And you have also mentioned infection, endocervical swab. So infection causing abortion is very rare. Gonococcal and the mari idella. Okay, they can still cause the infection. Karyotyping, அப்புறம் வேற என்ன இருக்குங்க? Thrombophilia, KPLA, you all know how to diagnose the criteria for identifying APLA. So APLA வந்து when do you think in the RPL, when do you think of APLA? What will be the history like? APLA patient that is more than 3 abortion, less than 10 weeks of pregnancy sudden FH வந்தது. Yes, John.
It's usually associated with second trimester pregnancy loss, ma'am.
It is associated with the second trimester pregnancy loss. Okay. Okay. It can also be associated with the second trimester pregnancy loss, but more typically when the first trimester, less than 10 weeks of pregnancy, there can be pregnancy loss. Like everything will be okay. FH vandado, SAC vandado, FH vandado, and suddenly when you follow up, there will not be FH. That is typical of APLA. Or even late onset preeclampsia with a placental defect, early preterm labors, all these things can occur in recurrent pregnancy, in APLA. So APLA, that is very important thing which you always do. So அதனால நம்ம எப்பயுமே BOH patient வந்தாங்கன்னா rheumatologist பார்க்க சொல்லுவோம். To find out any etiology or any autoimmune disorders. Any autoimmune disorders for that matter can cause recurrent abortions. Okay, then
Some thyroid function
so these
test.
are the prominent tests. Yes, thyroid. Okay, that is very a function test. And if it is going to be very abnormal, then you go for antibodies. Just abnormal thyroid function test, as already we were discussing, does not lead to recurrent abortions or even abortions. Only when it is going to be very abnormal, untreated, and when there is presence of antibodies, you have this problem.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, yes, carry on, doctor. So, you have done all the investigations. Okay. So, how we are going to manage this patient?
Well, management will be depending on the. We have to treat the underlying cause first, ma'am.
Okay, you have to treat the underlying cause. Okay. So, if we are not able to find out the risk, so risk assessment in this patient is always very important. The age, எத்தனை pregnancy loss இருந்திருக்கு, எந்த trimester இருந்திருக்கு, and then folic acid supplementation, that is very, very important. And this conception of casein or any cytotoxic, unknown teratogenic agents, all these are very important. அதே மாதிரி எக்ஸசிவ் யூஸ் ஆஃப் என்எஸ்ஐடிஸ் நம்ம சும்மாவே வந்து பெயின் கில்லர் ஏதாவது போட்டுட்டு இருக்கோம். ஸோ அதெல்லாம் கூட தட் ஹிஸ்ட்ரி ஆல்சோ ஷுட் பி ஆஸ்க் ஃபார். ஓகே. ஸோ வெயிட் வெரி லோ பிஎம்ஐ இல்லைன்னா ஆஸ்க் டு கெயின் சம் அமௌண்ட் ஆஃப் வெயிட். ஐடியல் வில் பி 45 kg, at least minimum 45 kg. Or if the BMI is very high, obesity with BMI 45, 50 இருக்கும்போது not only recurrent pregnancy loss, it can lead to other problems. I must smoking. If the patient has the habit of smoking, you can ask them to stop smoking. So like this, you can find out from the history, and then you can modify these risk factors. So excessive coffee, smoking, everything can be cut off. Weight reduction or thing, and thyroid evaluation of thyroid and giving optimal correction of the hypothyroidism. All these will prevent it. Okay. Then if you find the cause, okay, chromosome சொல்லிட்டீங்க, congenital anomaly of uterus, fibroids, okay, cervical insufficiency, infection, torch infection, and then polycystic ovaries, particularly when you are doing ovulation induction, patients requiring treatment in PCOD. நம்ம ovulation induction பண்ணி conceive ஆறவங்கள there can be luteal phase defect. Though it is not proved, it is associated with this pregnancy loss. So these patients may be benefited by progesterone supplementation. Progesterone கொடுத்தாக்க that will be a better option for them. அதே மாதிரி uncontrolled diabetes இருக்குன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. அப்ப this patient, diabetic patient, if the HbA1c becomes less than 7 or 6, 6 will be the ideal control. So you can get an absolute control of the HbA1c and then allow the patient to conceive. Then it is very helpful. Cushing syndrome, yes, that is very helpful. ஸோ இதெல்லாம் வந்து நீங்க பார்க்கலாம். ஸோ இந்த எதுவே தெரியல, என்னன்னே தெரியல அப்படின்னாக்கா தென் as a last resort you can go for recurrent pregnancy loss இருக்கு. None of these category fits, particularly first trimester abortion அது மாதிரிலாம் இருந்ததுன்னா 6 to 8 weeks you can go for chorionic fetus sampling and like that. Okay. So investigation in recurrent pregnancy loss is very important. இவ்வளோ டெஸ்ட் பண்ணாலுமே வந்து sometimes there can be no detectable abnormality. So when there is no detectable abnormality, what will you do? You do all the investigation, you do all the treatment, in spite the patient is recurrently miscarrying, or the patient can come for treatment. இல்ல அவங்க கன்சீவே ஆகல, பேஷண்ட் கம் ஃபார் ட்ரீட்மெண்ட், இன்வெஸ்டிகேஷன் வராங்க, எல்லா டெஸ்டும் நெகட்டிவா இருக்கு. They have done everything possible on earth. So 50% of them will not have any problem at all.
We have to do a frequent ultrasonogram of growth, and we have to do antenatal fetal surveillance, ma'am.
Antenatal fetal surveillance, yes. That is once they have become pregnant. Recurrent abortions, there will be a family discordancy also with the in-laws. So what she needs is the tender loving care. Just reassure the patient that give her hope and ask her to become pregnant, even if the other things are not. The risk of subsequent pregnancy loss is 50%, 40%. So the other 40%, 40 to 50%, she can continue the pregnancy. So that is it. Okay, நம்ம patient வந்து cervical insufficiency ல வந்திருக்காங்க. How do you treat this patient? How do you go about? Now you know the history.
Yes,
ma'am. Patient மூணுமே வந்து second trimester pregnancy loss இருந்திருக்கு இல்லையா? All the three has been a painless, typical of cervical incompetence. She has come at 12 weeks. Now what will you like to do for this patient?
First, we have to do an ultrasonogram to confirm the fetus is alive and there are no congenital abnormalities that are incompatible with the life. And then we have to go. We have to do a cervical circlage. It's usually done between 12 and 14 weeks of pregnancy. When do you time the
cervical circlage? Which is the ideal time for doing a cervical circlage?
Usually it is done between 12 and 14 weeks, ma'am. But it can be done up to 24 weeks of pregnancy.
Okay. So though it is wide anytime, okay. So sometimes the patient is coming with cervical incompetence, early sign la வந்து ஒரு patulous hostல இருக்காங்க. She comes for a checkup and you confirm with ultrasound. Anytime you can do. There is something called emergency circlage also. Okay. Particularly preterm labor painless, bulging back of membrane la வரும்போது, she happens to come to labor ward. You can do an emergency circlage. Like you can. But you have to rule out infection. Local infection and the circlage should not be done because it will cause chorioamnionitis. It is dangerous for the mother. So in the absence of any infection, this patient can be taken to the theater under anesthesia. Lithotomy position you just slowly reduce the membranes using a Higa dilator or a Foley, the balloon almari. Slow the membrane மேல pressure கொடுத்து உள்ள தள்ளிட்டு இப்படித்தானே இருந்து ஃப்ரண்ட் நம்பர் பொசிஷன் கொஞ்சம் ஹெட் டவுன் பொசிஷன்ல போட்டாங்கன்னா கொஞ்சம் அது உள்ள போகும். தென் யூ ஐடென்டிஃபை தி internal os and just at the level of the internal os, avoiding the 3 and 9 o'clock position where you have the vessels, uterine vessels ரெண்டு பக்கம் வரும்ல அந்த பொசிஷன் அவாய்ட் பண்ணிட்டு you can do a cervical circlage. So this patient, yes, though we say ideally between 12 to 24 அப்படின்னு சொன்னா கூட, in this patient 20 weeks, 18 weeks, 16 weeks. So now again அதை விட earlier வரலாம். This patient beyond 14 weeks is always better. The NT scan பண்ணிட்டு anamnesis can be ruled out that time and then you can go for it. And you all know beyond 12 weeks it becomes an abdominal organ. So நமக்கு circlage பண்றதுக்கும் கொஞ்சம் ஈஸியா இருக்கும் because the length of the cervix will be more. Whereas early weeks if you try, the risk of abortion, any intervention, any surgery you want to do for a pregnant woman, the ideal time will be the mid trimester. First trimester if you intervene, the risk of abortion is more. Okay, so ஒரு ovarian cyst இருக்கு, not symptomatic, less than 10 centimeter, so symptomatic இல்ல அப்படின்னாக்கா we always wait for the second trimester. 14 weeks அப்புறமா we do the procedure. So it implies that the risk of abortion in the second trimester is very less. அதே மாதிரி third trimester if you go and do a procedure, it can predispose to preterm labor. So ideally to safeguard the pregnancy, if you want to do a surgical procedure, the ideal time will be increasing the problems of the pregnancy loss. So in the patient நம்ம என்ன பண்ணலாம், circlage பண்ணலாம் 14 weeksல you can plan. So you do a cervical swab, rule out any infection, இல்லைன்னா torch கூட உங்களுக்கு பண்ணிக்கலாம். Then you go for the circlage. What procedure you do for cervical circlage?
Ma'am, usually we do McDonald's circlage.
McDonald's. Okay. So McDonald's என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க?
We have to use non-absorbable suture material and we have to do a purse string type of suture, ma'am, around the cervix at the level of the internal os.
At the level of internal.
And we have to tie the suture anteriorly.
So previously, as you were telling, we were using this Prolene. It is a non-absorbable suture. So infection rule out பண்ணிட்டு under anesthesia, you just identify the internal os and at that level you take a first string suture. இந்த சுருக்கு பையில வச்சிருப்பாங்களா பாட்டி அது மாதிரி. So we used to do it, but the problem is as the gestational age increases, the cervix also hypertrophies. But நம்ம டைட் டைம் ஒரு ஸ்டிச் போட்டோன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, that too with a Prolene or something, it may cut through the cervix. அது மாதிரி ஒரு impression cause பண்ணும், it will cause tears on the cervix. So the better thing will be using a tape. Small tapes are available, very thin diameter, 5 millimeter diameter, and மாதிரிலாம் tapes are available. Needles are attached on either side of the tape. So you can use that and then you can same way you can go for the first string suture. The only thing is you should avoid putting the knot anteriorly. So always place the knot posteriorly. ஏன்னா anterior knot போட்டிங்கன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, non-absorbable it will cause a impression and it will be irritating the uterus. இப்போ Prolene போட்டிங்கன்னா it will be 6 knot and you cut and leave the edges of the knot. So அது என்ன பண்ணும், the bladder is very soft tissue. So on the cervix level if you are going to think, it can erode the bladder. So பின்னாடி பாத்தீங்கன்னா you have a dead space called the pouch of Douglas. அது ஒரு apparent space which is available posteriorly. So when you do a purse string and put the knot, it should be posterior. And not only that, white tape will be better to prevent it cutting through. It's very அதுதான் கிடைக்கல அப்படின்னாக்கா used to give this fallopian ring இல்லைன்னா IV set இருக்குல்ல, அதை சின்ன சின்னதா கட் பண்ணி used to place it in between so that it does not get buried inside the cervix, because during delivery அது bury ஆயிடும், சில சமயம் cut through ஆகும், bury ஆயிடும் and it will be very difficult to remove. So always place the cannulas like structure. So IV set tube இல்லைன்னா fallopian ring that can be put inside the put over the thing, over the suture material, and you can tie the knot posteriorly. So that will be the McDonald's. இதுல knot பின்னாடி post இது பண்ணணும், and you should not prick over the vessels which are in the 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock position. So you go through the substance of the cervix. You take a bite through the substance of cervix and you come out on the external surface, and then again after our 4-5 millimeters you again get inside that. So you go round like this, out in again one day you put place a knot posteriorly. That will be the McDonald's. What is Shirotkas?
Shirotkas is, ma'am, we have to put the patient in lithotomy position, and we have to expose the cervix by using a speculum. Let's sim speculum, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Here also we are exposing the cervix. Only thing is இந்த வந்து இந்த UV fold of peritoneum ஓபன் பண்ணிட்டு bladder கொஞ்சம் புஷ் பண்ணிடுவோம் அவுட் அப். ஏன்னா இது வந்து லோ லெவல்ல பண்ணும்போது that when you have a V pattern of the இதெல்லாம் இருக்குன்னா வச்சுக்கோங்களேன், the stitch will be a little lower. Whereas in recurrent miscarriages or already ஒரு stitch போட்டு cervical incompetence stitch போட்டு failure ஆயிருந்ததுன்னா still high level placed at the level of internal loss stitch will be better. So what you do, நம்ம vaginal hysterectomy பண்ற மாதிரி UV fold of peritoneum incise பண்ணிட்டு you push the bladder upward a little, and then at the level of internal loss கொஞ்சம் higher level you are going to put the same McDonald's like stitch மாதிரி first ring suture போட போறீங்க, and you place a knot posteriorly, and then again you reperitonize it. So that will be the Shirotkas. Okay. So that is one of the things. What are the other methods by which you can do? அது வந்து ரெண்டுமே first thing. ஒன்னு கீழ் லெவல்ல போடுவோம், இன்னொன்னு அந்த bladder புஷ் பண்ணிட்டு அந்த peritoneum புஷ் பண்ணிட்டு you are going to do it. The other will be the vaginal itself. It will be it's called worm suture. Okay. So anterior posterior வந்து posterior, and then you come like that and not in not அதே மாதிரி sidewards. So இப்படி ரெண்டு ஸ்டிச் நம்ம கீழே இருந்து இப்படி மேல ரெண்டு ஸ்டிச் இப்படி எடுத்து திரும்ப you are going to come and side one sideல you are going to stitch. So you do a elliptical suture. Anteriorல இருந்து posterior போயிட்டு கீழே வந்து knot போடுறீங்க, அதே மாதிரி sidewards you are going to knot it. So இது பண்ணீங்கன்னா it will be very much held tight very much. So that is the other thing. So suppose the patient, in spite of putting all these type of sutures, recurrently she is getting into preterm labor. In spite of it, it can always happen. And I'm put the stitches very small. In that case, even abdominal placement of the the stitches is done. Abdominal procedure. So where you go, open the abdomen, or through a laparoscopy, you can do the stitching at the level of internal loss using tape. Tape use பண்ணி you can stitch at the level of internal loss after opening the UV fold of peritoneum and pushing it down. So there are various methods by which you can do it. So cervical incompetence it can be congenital or an acquired. ரெண்டு டைப்லயே இருக்கு. Congenital நம்ம patient, when where do you get acquired cervical incompetence?
Ma'am, in case of any previous surgeries or diaethal stilbus
What surgeries? Conization,
myomectomy and cervical amputation and
okay, cervical amputation or myomectomy may not be directly associated with it. Myoma varadu, uterine anomaly inert deficiency of the cervical musculature can cause this problem. Okay, so that can be there. The acquired usually வந்து நம்ம வந்து forceful MTP முன்னாடி இப்பெல்லாம் nowadays we have this drug called misoprostol. Prostaglandin E1 we place it in the cervix, it causes cervical change. Easier way தானாவே cervix open ஆயிடுது. So but without using that, if you try to manually do it, so MTP பண்ணும்போது DNC during abortion அப்பெல்லாம் forceful dilatation using the dilators and the Matthew Duncan or Higa's dilator ரொம்ப forceful use பண்ணனா it may damage the musculature of the cervix. That also even hysteroscope ரொம்ப tight internal loss இருக்குன்னு வெச்சுக்கோங்க, scoping is not possible. The time you give extra pressure and damage the cervical musculature, again it can cause the problem. And further this conization, amputation இதெல்லாம் நம்ம முன்னாடி சொல்லிட்டோம். Even previous delivery அப்ப if there has been a cervical tear which is not sutured properly, following instrumental deliveries, the cervical tear is very common. When we have cervical tear in instrumental delivery டெலிவரி எப்ப நமக்கு வந்து இது வரும், cervical tear வரும்?
Ma'am, when the baby is very big, ma'am, head is very big.
No, during yes, sir. When the baby is very big, when you try to deliver or give prematurely, the patient is trying to push on an incompletely dilated cervix. Cervix full dilatation ஆகிறதுக்கு முன்னாடியே பேஷண்ட்டை வந்து ஸ்ட்ரெயின் பண்ண சொல்றது, 6 cm ஸ்ட்ரெயின் பண்றது. ஸோ இன்கம்ப்ளீட்லி dilated cervixல நம்ம இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்டல் டெலிவரி பண்றோம். ஸோ ஆல் தீஸ் கேன் காஸ் cervical tear. ஓகே, cervical tear இதுல எல்லாம் தான் வரும். So that's why always do not go near the patient for delivery till it becomes fully dilated. Even for prolapse, it is the same etiology. Incompletely dilated cervix upper, when your patient is going to push or you encourage her to push, if you are going to encourage the patient to push the baby out, then it causes incompetence. So this should happen only after full dilatation, and it should be at the patient's own intuition. We should not culminate the practice of encouraging the patient to push earlier itself. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Cervical incompetence. Suppose there is a problem with the karyotyping, what will you do? Nothing much can be done. You can find the risk of recurrence and counsel. There can be 25 to 50% of recurrence in the subsequent pregnancy, depending upon the pattern, whether it is autosomal dominant or recessive pattern, and the counsel. Treatment incompetence gives a good prognosis. The next will be the APLA syndrome. Suppose APLA positive, what do you do for these patients?
We have to give a low dose aspirin and heparin, ma'am.
Yes, low dose aspirin. What is the dose of aspirin?
60 to 80 milligrams. Aspirin.
Okay, so 75 சொல்வாங்க, but 120 or 150 milligram is the available. So there are various studies which are showed unless it is more than 120 milligram, it is not helping. So அதனால இப்போ 150 கொடுக்க ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டேன், ஏன்னா it is available only as 150 molecules. அடுத்தது, in severe cases you can go for low molecular weight heparin. You can start as early as possible, like FH 7 weeks, 8 weeks தெரிஞ்ச உடனேவே we can start. It should be started very early because அப்பதான் வந்து the presentation will be better. So in very rare cases, in very poor cases, even in the pre-pregnant itself, we need to give, particularly we do the endometrial, myometrial and vascularity study எல்லாம் பண்ணி அதுல எல்லாம் ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்கு, இல்ல severity is very high, you may have to start the insulin very early, even before she becomes pregnant. சரி, இந்த மெக்டோனல்ஸ் எல்லாம் போட்டுட்டீங்க, அப்புறமா can you how do you deliver this patient?
Ma'am, we have to remove the sutures at 37 weeks of pregnancy, ma'am.
Okay, beyond period of the maturity வந்த உடனே you can remove. So anytime she can get into labor. So putting a stitch is not a contraindication for vaginal delivery unless it has been an abdominal procedure. ஏன்னா அதை எடுக்கிறதுக்கு you have to only go abdominally. Suppose the patient gets into labor, அந்த கண்டிஷன்ல மட்டும்தான் abdominal surgery, that is cesarean, has to be done. Other patients it's not that necessary. So the fetal surveillance, அதை பத்திலாம் நீங்க எப்படி அந்த பேஷண்ட் எல்லாம் பார்க்க போறீங்கன்னு பார்த்துக்கோங்க.
Yes, ma'am.
So underlying cause you have to identify, and these patients may need frequent ultrasound. Usually நம்ம வந்து 20 weeks ஒன்று, 32 weeks ஒன்று, 36 அது மாதிரி தான் வச்சிருக்கோம். இங்க வந்து the frequency of the repeating the ultrasound may be necessary in these cases. Timely delivery, okay, and for these sort of patients who are on treatment, if there is the slightest indication also, we have to go ahead with the cesarean section. We should not hesitate to deliver them by doing cesarean section. In the patient line, they should go to a tertiary center where all facilities for monitoring are available instead of getting treated in a less resource setting facility. What are the types of miscarriages you know of?
Ma'am, it can be 5 types, ma'am. Usually.
Ah, yes,
So first is threatened abortion, ma'am.
second abortion. Okay.
Threatened
So
abortion.
when do you call it as miscarriage?
Miscarriage is any spontaneous abortion, ma'am.
Spontaneous
Without any
abortion.
uh,
So loss
anything,
of
yes.
pregnancy loss below before 20 weeks.
Before
You
20
call
weeks
it
of
as
20 weeks or
miscarriage.
less than 500 grams, ma'am, fetal weight.
Yes, sir, very good. Less than 500 grams or less than 20 weeks. So that is the period of viability. Okay. So again, you can classify into early and late. Before 10 weeks, early in children, or late when it is beyond 10 weeks. 10 to 20 weeks. So 10 weeks, we call it as embryo. அதுக்கப்புறமா fetus. So that is thing. Miscarriage can be okay. Threatened. Now, what do you mean by threatened miscarriage?
In threatened miscarriage, uh, fetal cardiac activity can be seen, ma'am. Can be here.
Yes.
And we have to usually we have to give bed rest and we have to give progesterones, ma'am. So we have there's
Threatened
a chance of
miscarriage is there is a threat that it is going to abort. So just abdominal pain இருக்கலாம், mild spotting அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கலாம். There may not be heavy bleeding. That should not be associated with anything. So mild vaginal bleeding or abdominal pain will be there. And when you
the
examine,
internal os
the
will be
uterine
closed.
size will be corresponding for it. Os will be closed and there will be a viable fetus. As you rightly said, இந்த பேஷண்ட்ஸ்க்கு என்ன கொடுக்க போறீங்க? Just a bed rest.
Progesterone.
Progesterone supplementலாம் வந்து it is controversial. It is not evidence-based, but still conventionally we do give something is better than nothing. Which we keep giving it. What is inevitable abortion?
Ma'am, inevitable abortion, like we cannot stop the abortion from happening. It's definitely going to
Inevitable
happen.
cannot be stopped. Okay. So this patient, the product of conception is in the process of expelling, but it has not started to expel. So yes, sir. The os will be open, bleeding இருக்கலாம். Os open ஆயிடுச்சு already, and then FH may still be there. Okay. So products may or may not be there. So that will be an inevitable abortion. Whereas incomplete abortion is
Products of conception will start coming out, ma'am, but fully it will not come out. Some of the parts will remain still.
it will be fell through the os or it will be coming out through. It is in the process of expulsion. And the uterine size will be கம்மியாயிடும். சரியா? Vaginal bleeding will be there. So we always have problem with this incomplete abortion only. So மத்ததெல்லாம் bleeding அவ்வளோ இருக்காது. Whereas abortion தானே bleed தானே ஆகும்னு some patients may leave it as such. Instead of this product getting expelled fully, it can get caught inside the os. So the uterus will not be able to contract and there will be continuous bleeding. Bleeding will continue. Bleeding continue ஆயிட்டே இருக்கிறதுனால it can even lead to, we have seen patients coming in hemorrhagic shock also. So this is more dangerous. So what will you do for these patients? Incomplete abortion
Curettage and
blood loose
evacuation.
ஆயிட்டே இருக்கும். Yes, immediate evacuation using MA syringe. MA syringe use பண்ணி you have to immediately evacuate it. Suppose there is retained products of conception. இருந்தாலுமே you have to evacuate it. Otherwise, the patient will continue to lose her blood and can lead to anemia, or if the loss is going to be very heavy, it can lead to hemorrhagic shock. What is complete abortion?
All the products of conception completely come out. Ma'am. So there's
Yes,
we don't have
so
to
the
do any
abdominal
treatment here.
pain, cramps, everything will be stopped. So patient
We
will
have
be
to reassure the patient. And the os will be closed. And we don't have to do any
these
treatment.
are the
We have to reassure the patient.
reassure. You do a thing, this Like my phone is getting disconnected.
Okay, ma'am. Now it's audible, ma'am.
It's audible. I think
Yes, ma'am.
there's a message like getting overheated or something. So if you want to discuss, we'll discuss. Otherwise, we'll close it. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
These are the things you have to know. The management of recurrent pregnancy loss, primary.
Ma'am, you're not audible now, ma'am.